Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. So mainly we are going to discuss about the animal tissues, that is epithelial tissues. I'm going to discuss in today's session, and also the connective tissue. Okay. So if possible, I'll complete muscular or muscle tissue as well as nervous, but I don't think so that is possible. So I'll be covering the epithelial and connective tissue. Okay. So before I start, let me introduce myself. I am Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I am an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So join with us in Telegram for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10, and the Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISC both. So you can find this link in the description. So you can click on the link and join the channel there. Okay. So also we conduct free classes which are called special classes on Unacademy platform. So there you have a option of chatting as well as you can use the emojis. So let's say if a discussion session is going on, so you can interact with the educator, and if you have any question and if there are lots of comments that are coming, so basically you can use the question tab to ask your question, where you can attach an image, type in your question and send it to the educator during a live session. So they'll be clearing your doubts. And other than that, we can also conduct a quiz on Unacademy, so that is by poll. So after the quiz is done, so we will be sharing the leaderboard so that you can know your rank and compete with your friends as well. Okay, so Unacademy subscription features, so you can learn live from the comfort of your home, unlimited access to all the courses. So different educators will come up with different courses, so you will have access to all the courses. Then top educators of India are going to take the class in one platform, that is Unacademy platform. Then there is regular doubt clearing session. So after about every 3 sessions, the fourth session will be our doubt clearing session. So any doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubts in this session. Okay, then complete syllabus will be covered, mentorship and guidance will be given, study material is given, the practice test series, the live test series, batch courses. So if you prefer to learn in English, there is a English batch. If you prefer to learn in Hindi or a English, so those batches are there. So once you take the subscription, you will have access to all those batches. Okay, and excuse me, and along with that you have a daily practice section, then weekly mock test series, live quizzes, daily MCQ and subjective test series. Also you will have a benefit of all this if you take a plus subscription. And here are the subscription the tenure along with this amount. Okay, so you can try if you want to try like how exactly this works. So you can go with the 6 months of subscription for class 9. Okay, so if you are planning to complete your class 9 with Unacademy, you can go with the 12 months. So if you are planning further, so in that case you can go, depending on your convenience, you can go for any of these months of subscription. And this is my referral code VANIYT. Okay, so with this referral code you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. So if you are planning to take the subscription, you can use the referral code where you will get 10% discount. Okay, and for ICSE class 9 and 10, so there is Creative Corner is back, that is get 3 months Creative Corner subscription free on purchase of 12 months and above. So this is from March 25th to March 28th. So you can use the same code, that is VANIYT, to get the subscription. Okay, so that is basically you will be getting 10% discount on the 12 months of subscription. Okay, and other than that you will have access to all these creative corners. So basically it is related to art and music, or let's say there is a chess, or maybe Vedic mathematics, the workshops which are conducted by educators, like the astronomy and astrophysics. So those kind of the creative corner access you will have once you take the subscription over here. Okay, So let's get started with the animal tissue. So what all will be there, like what all different types of tissues are there in case of animals. You know, when we talk of, when usually we say tissues are there. So how exactly these tissues are formed in each and every organism. So we all are, formed as a single unit. So you know that the zygote formation will occur. So I'll tell you about this one. So there is a zygote formation that occurs. One second, let me just check if I'm audible once. Okay. Yeah, so now in that case, you know, the ovum, okay, so there is a ovum, there is a ovum nucleus, then there is a sperm, okay, so there is a sperm, so there is a nucleus. So fusion between the male nuclei, okay, so the male nuclei is getting fused with the female nuclei, and there is a zygote that is formed. So now this is a zygote having a male nuclei as well as a female nuclei. So this one is a zygote. So this zygote itself goes on dividing, okay. So there is a blastocyst formed, and this blastocyst is nothing but a 32 cell stage. What is that? Okay, so now this blastocyst is actually having a stem cell, and this stem cell is the one which can give rise to different types of tissues. That means, you know, epithelial tissue formation, the connective tissue, the muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue. So all the different types of tissue formation can occur from the stem cells that are present in the zygote. Okay, so that is blastocyst there. So now, you know, the main kinds of animal tissues that we are going to discuss today is the epithelial tissue, okay, then connective tissue, the muscle tissue, and then the neural tissue or a nervous tissue. So let's have a look at the epithelial tissue. Okay, so what exactly does the epithelial tissue do? So this is having a main function of protection, okay, so which is again a continuous sheet of cells we can find. Now if we are talking about the skin, okay, so whole body is covered by a skin, okay, so this is the external covering. So you know, when we talk of epithelial tissue, it is not just the external covering, the internal covering is also by, that is internal covering, we call it as the lining. Okay, so external covering is there, okay, so externally it is covering your body, okay, and the internal lining we can mention. Okay, so internally it is lining most of the organs that are there. So internal lining is also occurring. That means your whole body is covered by this particular protective tissue. Okay, so let's have a look at the location then. So it covers the surface of the body. Okay, so that is the skin. So now skin is covering the whole surface of a body. So complete body is covered by a skin. Okay, so skin is covering the whole body. Then there is a lining to the internal organs. Okay, so internal organs, what are they? So those are lined by epithelial tissue now. Okay, so now epithelial tissue, when we mention, so it is having many functions as such. Now examples: the outermost layer of a skin, the lining surface of the mouth, so your mouth on the inner side, so here it is covered by a epithelial lining. The nose, okay, so nose is having a epithelial lining. The lungs are having a epithelial lining. The stomach, so most of the internal organs, what are they? So they are all having the epithelial lining. Okay, so there is a epithelial covering is there for all of these tissues. All right, then shape. Okay, so what exactly is the shape? So basically, you know, epithelial cells, we can find them flat also, cuboidal also, or columnar also. So let's have a look at this one now. Okay, so now when we mention about the epithelial tissue, okay, so mainly there is a basement membrane. Okay, so on to this basement membrane you can find the flat cells. Okay, so this is now a flat cell which is present. So there can be flat cells as such. So this is called as a squamous epithelium. Okay, so squamous epithelium are basically, they are flat in structure. Okay, so they are completely flat, so that, you know, easy diffusion. So now if we have to see an example. Okay, so let's take an example over here. So there is a blood vessel. Okay, so now this blood vessel, that is mainly the capillary. So let's talk of capillary now, through which the diffusion of gases will occur. Okay, so now capillary is there, and let's say this is a alveoli. Okay, so this part, what is that? So let's say this one is now alveoli. Okay, so I'll just write this is alveoli. So alveoli is having a squamous epithelial lining, that is flat type cells are there. Now this is a squamous epithelial tissue, and on the inner side of the capillary also you can find this squamous epithelium. So there is a squamous epithelium that is present on the inner side, that is for both of these, I mean the capillary on both the sides. So that will be having a endothelium. Since it is lining the blood vessel, so we call it as a endothelium. Yes, are you all understanding? So now in this case, as we mentioned, okay, so easy diffusion has to occur. The deoxygenated blood might be there. So in that case, the carbon dioxide which is here, so that has to pass through this membrane. So that means in that case what should happen? It has to diffuse. Now oxygen is present here. So that oxygen has to come through this one. So if only a flat cell is there, and if it is a single cell thick, so easy diffusion can occur. So that is why wherever a diffusion has to occur, so there you can find a squamous type of epithelium. If a larger thickness is there for a cell, or layers of cells are there, so in that case what can happen? Easy diffusion cannot occur. So now easy exchange will occur into the blood, that is exchange of gases will occur. So if it is a flat cell, like in case of a squamous epithelium, it is a flat cell that is both in capillary as well as a alveolar membrane, so easy diffusion can occur. Okay, now other than that, let's have a look at one second. Okay, so let's have a look at the cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so now cuboidal epithelium, again there is a basement membrane. Okay, so this is now a basement membrane. Onto this basement membrane we can find a cuboidal epithelium. So these are somewhat cubical in nature, having their own nuclei. So here there is a nuclei. For flat cells also there is a nuclei. Okay, so now this is a cuboidal epithelium. So what exactly is the function? So you saw that for squamous it is usually easy diffusion has to occur, so that exchange of gases or exchange of nutrient that has to occur, so that will occur easily. Now the blood capillary is going to the stomach, or let's say it is going to the intestine. Nutrition, so all the simple compounds that are obtained at the intestine, so those have to diffuse into this villi which is having a blood vessel. So in that case what is essential? So flat cells are required. So now here in this case, the secretion and absorption. Okay, so main function of this one is secretion and absorption can occur. So that is with the cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so now this one is a cuboidal epithelium. Okay, where you will find this one is a basement membrane. Okay, so this is a basement membrane or a basal membrane also we can call. Okay, so onto this membrane you can see that there is a cuboidal cell. So this is a cuboidal epithelium, the cuboidal shaped epithelium that you can find. Okay, so now main function is absorption as well as secretion for this one. So next we will see one more. So before that we will have a look at what all is the function of this one. Okay, so flat we discussed, cuboidal we discussed, and one more columnar. So I'll just show you this structure. Okay, so in case of columnar, what is the case is, so again there is a basement membrane onto which they are placed. Now with this you see, so this is a columnar cell. Okay, so these are columnar cells which you find, and usually the columnar cells at their base there is a nucleus. Okay, so now this is a columnar epithelium. So now this is a nucleus that you will find at the base of the cell. Okay, so now this one one is the columnar epithelium. So where exactly do you find a columnar epithelium? What is the function? So again, the function can be secretion, absorption, and other things. Okay, so movement can also occur. We will discuss. I'll give you an example when I'm explaining about these in detail. Okay, so now this is a columnar epithelium. So why is it named as a columnar? So these look like a columnar. The previous one looked like a cube, so that is why cuboidal epithelium. So columnar you saw. Okay, so now in all the cases, or in all cases, the cells of the epithelial tissue, so they are tightly together. So you can see that there is no gap. Okay, so they are finely, tightly they are held to each other. Okay, so leaving no space between the cells. So there is no space between the cell. You can have a look here. So they are tightly attached to each other. So there is no space at all. Okay, so there is no space between the cells. So that is how the flat or the cuboidal or the columnar. So now this one is a columnar epithelium, but in the other cases, okay, so you can find, so there is little or no space also. Now what exactly is the function? Main thing, that the protection. Okay, so skin is providing your protection. What happens if a gap is there in your skin cells? Okay, so you have this skin cell here, right? What happens if there is tiny gap which is there? Easily the germs can take a entry. So now in our case, that is in skin, there are no gaps because it is impermeable to any of the foreign particles. So in that case, no germs can enter unless and until there is a damage. Okay, so now what is the main function then? So it is the protection. So the function of this one is the epithelial tissue functions for protection, that is as on skin. Also it provides, it does the absorption function once the nutrition is being digested. So let's say a glucose is formed, amino acid is formed, so all the absorption can occur. Secretion, so digestive juices secretion can occur. So secretion is a function. Okay, then sensory perception. So we call those as specialized epithelial cells where there is a nerve ending or maybe a dendritis present. So in all those epithelial cells which can sense. So now I'm able to hold this pen in my hand. I'm able to hold the laptop. Then I'm able to hold this pen tab. So all that I can sense, mainly because there is a specialized epithelial which is supplied with certain nervous tissue, so that I can sense this in my hand. Okay, so now sensory perception is so these are the function. Now its 5 structurally distinct categories are as follows. So let's have a look at the different types of the epithelial tissues that are there. Okay, so there is a squamous epithelium. Yes, are you all understanding? Okay, so now there is a squamous epithelium. So this one is composed of cells. Okay, so there are cells that are present. So all those are flat cells. So now let's say here itself I'll draw in a small way. Okay, so this is a basement membrane. Always a basement membrane has to be there for a support for a always for a epithelial cell always. So now you can find these flat cells having their own nucleus. So now this is a flat cell having its own nucleus. So this is now a flat cell. Okay, so this is a squamous epithelium with the flat and prominent nuclei that are closely packed. Okay, so what is packed there? So basically the meaning is that it is a eukaryotic cell and it is covered by a nuclear membrane. So there is a cell membrane as well. Okay, so now example for this one. So this is found lining the mouth and the nasal cavities. Okay, so where do you find? So now the mouth is there. So inside this mouth, if I have to draw this one, so let me just explain this. So now in mouth the protection is provided. So what exactly happens? So there is first the basement membrane is there. Okay, so it is not just one layer which is present here. So you have multiple layers of squamous epithelium here. So in that case you can find layers of these cells as such. Okay, so there are many cells as such, so one above the other. So now we call it as a squamous epithelium because on top of it again you can find these flat cells. Okay, so layers of a cell are there and on top which is there. So based on that a name is given, so be it a cuboidal or columnar, doesn't matter, the top one what we see, so that is the one that we are labeling it. Now this one is a stratified or compound, we can say. So compound epithelium or squamous stratified epithelium. So compound can also be called as a stratified. So this can be stratified epithelium also. Okay, so now this is a squamous epithelium or a stratified epithelium. Okay, so moving on to the next one, the squamous epithelium protects the underlying parts, that is from the mechanical injury. Okay, so basically since many layers are there, so this is not just one layer, so as such we can see layer above the layer. Okay, so layer above the layer is there, so multiple layers. So if you have seen a structure of the skin that they have given in your textbook. Okay, so you see that outer epidermis, so that is completely having layer above the layer. So many layers of protection is given by the cell. So now in that case, so these are found, example is done. Okay, so it will provide you a protection against the injury, then germs entry, the harmful chemicals, as well as drying up. So now what is stratified epithelium? So this is found in the skin. Okay, so that skin, when we mention, so skin is having a stratified epithelium. So what is the meaning of stratified? Hi Utkarsh, good evening. So what is the meaning of stratified? So stratified also we can mention, or we can also call it as a compound. Okay, so compound means not just one layer of epithelium is present, many layers are there. So let's say this is a basement membrane now. Okay, so onto this basement membrane you will find layers of cell. Okay, so now this is a layers of cells that are present, so not just one layer. So when you find layers of cells, so in that case we call it as a compound. So it is a compound epithelium. Then when do we call it as a simple epithelium? So now now this one is a compound epithelium, or we can also call it as a stratified one. So then when do we say it is a simple one? So that is a basement membrane is there. Okay, so onto this basement membrane, so you will find only one layer of a cell. Okay, so it can be flat cell, it can be cuboidal cell, it can be columnar. So now this one is a simple epithelium. Okay, and this one is a stratified epithelium. Okay, so stratified also or compound also. So now this one is a squamous. So simple squamous epithelium. Why do we call this one as a squamous? Because the squamous here is when we say squamous, it is a flat cell. Okay, so whenever flat cell is there, so then that case we call it as a squamous. So let's say if it is the cuboidal shape. Okay, so let me just show this one. Okay, so here there is a basement membrane. Okay, so now when do we call it as a simple cuboidal epithelium? So when do we mention that this is a simple cuboidal epithelium? So that is when the cuboidal type of cells are present here. So now this is a cuboidal epithelium having just one layer. Okay, so just one layer of a cell is there. So now this we call as a simple cuboidal having its own nucleus. Now when do we mention simple columnar? Okay, so when do we mention that this one is a simple columnar epithelium? So again, the basement membrane is always present for epithelial cell. Okay, so always a basement membrane will be there. On to that these cells are located. Okay, so now this is a basement membrane, columnar shaped. So now this one is a columnar cell here. So you can find column like cells. Okay, so this is now a columnar cell. So we can also say that brush border cells will be there. Okay, so now this one is a columnar cell here. Yes, so it is a elongated cell. Very good, Utkarsh. Okay. So now at the base you can find the nucleus. Okay. So you will find the nucleus at the base in case of a columnar epithelium. So this one is a columnar epithelium. So I'll tell you two more. Okay. So it can be for if we want a larger surface area. Okay. In intestine there is a absorption that has to occur, that is the food which is digested, so that has to get absorbed. So that means a larger surface area is required for the absorption of a food. So in that case what will happen, I'll just explain this. So there is, as usual, there is a basement membrane. Okay. So now in order to increase the surface area, so this cuboidal epithelium can have a brush border like this. Okay. So brush border when it is there, so it can increase the surface area. So now this is a cuboidal epithelium. Again this can have a brush border as such. So again there is a brush border as such. Okay. So now what is happening with this. So it is increasing the surface area so that more and more absorption of nutrient can occur. Okay. So absorption of nutrient we can see when there is a more surface area available. So now this one is cuboidal epithelium itself. Okay. So it is a simple cuboidal but brush border epithelium. So we can just write it in bracket also. So it can have a brush border as well. So same can happen with the columnar as well. So columnar again, wherever a secretion and a larger surface area is required, so columnar brush border also we can find. Okay. So now I'll tell you one example. Okay. So we will see some examples related to this one. So you saw about the cuboidal epithelium. So this is found in the parts of a kidney tubule. So is the nucleus in the periphery in simple columnar? Yes, so it is at the base. Okay, so we can usually find at the periphery, not at the borders as such, not at the completely at the periphery. So it is basically at the basis we can find, and it can be nearer or it can be even in the center. So basically we can see near the border also, like you said, in periphery, or main thing is that they'll be here at the base. Okay, so we can find them at the base. In certain cases we can find it exactly in the center also. It's not that they need to be at the periphery itself. Okay. So now, yes, so cuboidal epithelium. So where do you find this cuboidal epithelium? So this is in the kidney tubules you can find, and in some glandular ducts such as those of a salivary gland. So what in your kidney tubule when we mention, so now this one is a nephron. Okay. So PCT is there. So this one is the PCT over here. So Henley's loop you can find. Then there is DCT. Okay. So now this PCT and DCT will have a cuboidal epithelium. Okay. So now this DCT will also have a cuboidal epithelium. That means it does the function of secretion, absorption. So wherever, depending on the function that has to be done, so absorption and secretion will be done at the nephron part. So that is at the kidney tubule. Okay. So now columnar epithelium when we mention, so this is brick like cell. Okay. So these cells are usually tall in size. Columnar epithelium is generally found in the inner lining of the stomach as well as the intestine. So in intestine we can find, as well as in a stomach we can find this structure. So now this one you can see squamous is completely flat. So now stratified one, and these are flat cells, so you don't see them like cuboidal or maybe like columnar as such. Okay. So this one is a stratified one, but the squamous stratified. Did you get this one? So basically squamous stratified when we mention, so layers of layers are there. So there are many layers. We are not considered about we are not worried about what type, whether it is a cuboidal, columnar, or squamous type. So all we observe is the upper layer. Okay. So if the upper layer is flat like this, then it is a squamous stratified epithelium. Okay. So now this one is a squamous stratified epithelium. Okay. So now again in the same case, let's say this is now a layer. One second, I'll erase this part. So let's say again there is a basement membrane. Okay, so onto this basement membrane we want to see the cuboidal type. So in that case what we are going to do, so layers of there, okay, so layers and layers of these cells are there, and on top if we are finding a cuboidal type of epithelium, then it is a cuboidal stratified epithelium. Okay, so same way it is applied for the this thing also, that is the columnar epithelial as well. So now ciliated columnar epithelium we can find, and glandular epithelium. So what exactly is this one? So now let's have a look at this one. So there is a basement membrane. Okay, so then there is columnar epithelium. So this one is now a columnar epithelium. Okay, so if this columnar epithelium, what is then? So if this is having the cilia, okay, so there is a hair like structure. So if cilia is present onto this one, okay, so in that case we call it as a ciliated columnar epithelium. So now this one is a ciliated columnar epithelium because there is a cilia that is present over here. Okay, so at some places in the body, so as in the lining of a trachea. So now in trachea what happens. So let's say this is a trachea now. Okay, so this is a trachea. So in that case we can find columnar cells. So this is now a columnar epithelium. So here also you can find a columnar epithelium. So this one is now a columnar epithelium. So trachea, as you respire in, so there is a chance that you can respire the dust particles, the pollen grains, or any pathogens that you are taking in. So now this cilia, if they are there, so this cilia is going to trap that germ. Okay, so trap the germ or trap the dust particle, because there is mucus also that is secreted. Okay, so along with the mucus, this cilia will move in one particular direction, so that the trapping of a germ, trapping of a pollen grain can occur, or a dust particle can occur. So that is by sneezing action. Okay, by sneezing or maybe by coughing, the foreign materials are thrown out. Okay, so now glandular epithelium, when we mention, so this is a kind of columnar epithelium. Okay, so which is mainly responsible for secretion of chemical substances. So now such cells are common at the stomach lining as well as the intestine lining, because they have to produce the juices. Okay, so that is, juices is nothing but the digestive juices are to be produced. It is a intestinal juice, or we can say gastric juice production will occur, so that the digestion can occur easily. So this is the glandular epithelium, which is actually producing these juices, which are again helpful for the digestion. Okay, so now at certain places in the body, the glandular epithelium is folded inward to form a compact, hollow, or a tubular gland. For example, sweat gland is there, then tear gland, the liver. So everywhere we can find these type of tissues. Okay, now moving on to the connective tissue. I hope it is clear. Okay, I said I'll be able to cover only this part. So connective tissue also I won't be able to cover. Okay, so now connective tissue binds one tissue with another. Okay, so now also the name itself suggests this is connecting. Okay, so connecting the different parts of a body. Okay, or different organs are being connected. So that is the blood is there. Okay, so blood is there, and the bone. So these are doing the connection. So now this bone and this bone is connected. So our whole body parts, what are there? So the bones are connected there, the blood is circulating throughout. So now the connection here is not just joining, transportation. Okay, so transportation is also occurring. So that is the connective tissue. So now connective tissue binds one tissue with another, and it also connects various organs. So it is also connecting various organs, which is keeping them in a proper place. Okay, so now it is having three characteristic feature. So abundance of intercellular substance we can find, like a lot of intercellular substance, that is matrix we can find. Now if we are taking an example of a blood, Okay, so in blood what do you find? So in blood you usually find there is a plasma. So plasma here is a matrix. Then cellular elements. So what are the cellular elements here? So this one can be matrix. Okay, so then cellular elements are nothing but the RBC you can find, the WBC you can find, then platelets you can find. So all these are the cellular elements, and certain fibers also you can find in that. Okay, so same way now the connective tissue is classified as follows. So what is the classification? Let's have a look at. All right, so are you all understanding, Utkarsh or others? So now in this case, the connective tissue proper, when we mention, so this serves for packing and binding the organs. Okay, so who is doing the packing and binding the organs? So let's have a look at that. Now supportive connective tissue. So in that case, it gives support, that is cartilage and bones. Okay, now in this case you can find the areolar tissue. Okay, so we will see what exactly is the function. Then there is fluid connective tissue, that is blood and lymph we can find. So now here in this case the connective tissue proper, so it can be areolar tissue, it can be adipose tissue, which is actually responsible for fat storage. Then we can also find the fibrous connective tissue. Okay, so this does the function of fat storage. Okay, so fat storage is done by the adipose tissue. So now it is most widely spread, occurring beneath the epidermis of the skin. It makes the skin elastic and helps to withstand the pulling strain. So what is the meaning of this one? So that means the skin is made elastic, so that is because of the areolar tissue that we find. Okay, so now other than that, the adipose tissue is a specialized cell. Okay, so it is having a specialized cell which are mainly let's say you have not consumed food for a longer time period. Okay, so now you have a hypodermis. So outermost layer is epidermis, the middle layer is dermis, and then below you can find a hypodermis. So hypodermis is where you will find these adipose tissues. Okay, and as you have not consumed food for longer time period, the fat is going to produce or energy, it is going to provide you a energy that is required, so that you can normally, for as long as the fat is still there, so you will get some amount of energy to perform the activities. So if the fat is also completely gone, then in that case you need to take the external source of energy supplement. Okay, so now it is the adipose tissue that is storing the fat, and whenever there is a requirement of energy, so energy production can be done with the help of a fat as well. Okay, so then there is a fibrous connective tissue. So this is mainly formed of fibers forming tendons, and then there are ligaments. So we can find tendons also, we can find ligaments also. So tendons will connect muscle to bones. Okay, and this ligament is going to connect bone to bone. So bone to bone connection is given by the ligament, muscle to bone connection is given by the tendon. Okay, so now supportive cartilage tissue, when we mention, cartilage is a non-porous tissue. So now here in the nose, or at the tip of this, the tip of the nose is there, and the ear pinna, then this septum, what is there separating the two nostrils, what are they? So that is again supported by the cartilage. So all these are cartilages. So now this pinna is cartilage, the ear tip, sorry, nose tip, and here eyelids also can have cartilage. Where else do you find a cartilage? Anybody so knows any idea on this one? Where else do you find a cartilage? Any idea on this one? So there is a cartilage which I gave some usual examples I give. So there is a lot of cartilage which is present in our body. Okay, so other than pinna and other than nose, so in the trachea you can find a cartilaginous support. Between the vertebral bones, what are they? So there you can find a cartilaginous support. Okay, so between the rib cage, what are there? So there you can find a cartilaginous support. So bone covering, so each and every bone again is having, not each and every, so some bones at least will have a the cartilaginous covering. Okay, so cartilage is basically semi transparent and it is elastic, so it is somewhat flexible as compared to the bone. So cartilages are, so you can find this one is a flexible now, right? So if you leave it, it will retain its shape. Okay, so now cartilages are found in the tip of nose, the external ear, the trachea, bronchi tubes, between the vertebrae and at the end of the long bones. So now bone is a hard porous tissue, so it is hard as we compare, and it is not elastic. So there is a supply of blood vessel that is done, nerve supply is done. Now it is also having a cells called as osteoblast and rigid mass. So basically, if we say this is a bone now, okay, so in that you can find the arrangement of bone cells in a circular manner forming a canal. So there is in the center you can find a canal, and here there is organic. So let's say this one over here is a matrix. Okay, so in matrix you can find the fibers you can find, so calcium deposition and phosphorus deposition you can find in here. Okay, so this is about the bone. Okay, so this is the structure which is given in your textbook. So that is fibrous connective tissue. So you can see this. Now this is a tissue structure, that is the connective tissue structure. So you can see so much fluid is there. So matrix is completely a fluid. Here and there you can find few cells, but in epithelial, what is the case? You find so many cells, there is no space. But in case of connective tissue, there is lot of space, and that space is completely covered by a matrix, and this matrix can have fiber. Okay, so in the cell there is, as usual, there is a nucleus also that is present. So now this is a fibrous connective tissue. This is in case of a cartilage. So cartilage, when we mention, so matrix is there, so there is a cell again. So this is the empty lacuna you can find. Now this one is a bone. So now in the center what you see, so that is a Harvesian canal. These are the concentric lamellae. So now in between you can find a matrix there. So now this individual cell what you see, so this is a bone cell which is called as a osteocyte. Okay, so this can also be called as a osteocyte. So this one is a bone cell. So this itself they have enlarged it here. So this is a bone cell. Okay, so now fluid connective tissue, when we mention, so all that comes under this one is the blood. Okay, so under blood we have the plasma part. So cellular element part is there, so that is red blood cell, white blood cell, and platelets we can find. So these are RBCs, WBCs, and these are platelets. So lymph is also a fluid connective tissue. Okay, so it is again surrounding the body cell. So now this is again essential blood plasma, essentially the blood plasma itself. So lymph, when we mention, it is nothing different. It is a blood plasma which has which has oozed out of the capillary. So mainly the capillary. So it will be entering the lymphatic vessel, and that is why we call it as the lymph. Okay, so now it is mainly having, so there are no red blood cells here, so it is the plasma. Okay, so a plasma is there. So with that plasma you can find WBCs, but there are no RBCs. Okay, so RBCs are not there. So only you can find a blood plasma, and then there is white blood cell you can find. So that we call as the lymph. Okay, so plasma and WBC we can find. Now both blood and lymph, so these are mainly concerned with the transportation. So transportation throughout the body or connecting the different organs. So that is done by the lymph as well as blood. Okay, and also this is having a role in the immunity. So what is immunity? Providing you a protection against any germ. Okay, so any pathogen that enters, so your WBCs, what are there? So they will get activated. Okay, so they will get activated, that is to kill this germ. Okay, so that is how the working of these WBCs we can see. Okay, So this one anyway, since the time is up, so like in the beginning itself I said that I'll be covering only these two, that is the connective tissue and epithelial tissue. So I'll come up with one more session on animal tissue so that you can have a look at. Okay, so which of the following is the connective tissue here? So this one is ciliated, columnar, neuron, then there is blood, and then there is cardiac muscle. So which is the connective tissue? Any idea on this one? Anybody who is here? So which one is connective tissue out of all this? No idea? Oh, okay, I'm actually not all right. So this is I'm covering that, right? So this one is actually the blood. Okay, so anyway, so this one I have covered, so I'll just skip this. I think you cannot see that question exactly because I'm covering that part. All right, so next time I'll add it. I forgot to shift it this side. Okay, so anyway, before I end the session, so let me see about the batches that we have. So there is a champions batch. The mode of delivery is English here. Okay, so you know all the, you will have access to all of these subjects. Okay, so if you are taking a subscription for class 9, so you will get subscription for class 10 to 12 absolutely free. Okay, so bugs bounty is there, that is opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content in the video. Be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. So how you can watch my special classes? All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app. Open the app and click on get started. Then you can enter your mobile number and OTP. Then you can sign up using your email ID. Okay, so then you can go to the description, so you can select the class 6 to 12, select your classes, that is ICSE category. You can select your preferred language. So download the Unacademy app now, so that is learners app. So you can also subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. Click on the bell icon to get notified about the classes, like and share the video, and download the Unacademy Learners app now. So this PDF anyway I have taken it from the the Selena textbook itself, but yes, if you still want the PDF, yes, I can send it on my Telegram channel, that is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. Okay, so you can search this in Telegram, so that is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. So you will find the channel. Okay, so you can join in there. So any homework related or class notes, I can send it there. Okay, so thank you everyone. See you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone. I need to take another class. Okay, so see you all then. Bye bye, take care.